It was the coldest night of the year. The kind of night when the wind cuts through even the thickest clothes and the world seems to shrink beneath layers of frost. Snowflakes fell gently but relentlessly, blanketing the silent streets and muffling the usual city noises. The lampposts cast a pale yellow glow, their light flickering softly through the swirling cold air. Henry walked slowly along the empty sidewalk, his breath visible in the icy night. His coat, once sturdy and warm, was now threadbare, the collar worn thin from years of use. In his hands, he clutched a worn leather folder, its edges curled from countless openings. His face, tired and lined with age, carried the weight of 1,000 silent struggles. He paused at the bus stop, the cold seeping into his bones as he looked up and down the street. There, under the weak shelter of the bus stop roof, stood a woman. She was shivering, wrapped in thin layers that offered little protection from the merciless cold. Her hands trembled, her breath coming in soft, shaky puffs, and her eyes darted anxiously to the empty road, hoping for a bus that seemed nowhere in sight. Henry hesitated. For a moment, he considered walking away, telling himself he had nothing left to give. But then, something inside him stirred. Without a word, he unbuttoned his own coat and gently draped it over her shoulders. The woman looked up at him, surprise flickering in her eyes, but she did not refuse. He stood beside her, the cold biting harder now that his only layer was gone. His fingers numb, his heart heavy, yet there was a warmth in that small act, a silent connection forged in the freezing night. But who was she? That question lingered, unanswered, as the snow continued to fall around them. Tonight, something was different. Henry's world was a quiet one, filled with losses no one saw. Years ago, he had lost the love of his life, the warmth of a home that had once been full of laughter. His son had grown distant, caught up in a life far away. His days were spent navigating endless corridors of a community center where he volunteered, trying to find meaning in small acts of kindness. Yet tonight, beneath the chill and shadows, a new story was beginning. As the bus stop remained empty, Henry noticed the woman pulling something from her pocket, a small piece of paper folded carefully. She unfolded it, revealing a drawing, a child's sketch of two people sharing a coat, standing under snowflakes just like these. Her eyes shimmered with tears as she pressed the paper to her chest. Memories she thought long buried surfaced, a cold night much like this, a stranger's kindness that had changed everything. Henry didn't know it yet, but the woman standing there in his coat was about to change his life forever. But for now, the snow kept falling, the streets remained silent, and the question still hung in the air. Who was she? And why had she come to this lonely bus stop tonight? The night had settled deeper into the city, wrapping every street and alley in a thick, silent blanket of snow. Henry's footsteps echoed softly as he left the bus stop, the weight of his coat gone but the warmth of a small hope growing inside him. Meanwhile, the woman, her name was Claire, clutched the coat tighter around her fragile frame. Inside, beneath the layers of cold and shadow, memories stirred like embers long hidden beneath ash. She hurried home, her breath quick and uneven, the cold air biting at her cheeks. The tiny apartment she returned to was humble and worn, much like her own life, a life shaped by loss and resilience. As Claire entered, she carefully peeled back the coat's collar and found a small folded note pinned inside. The handwriting was simple but steady, a few words that seemed ordinary, yet carried a weight she couldn't explain. She unfolded the paper and stared at the drawing once more, the two figures under a falling snow, sharing a single coat. Tears welled in her eyes, unbidden but not unwelcome. The image pulled her back to a night years ago, a night colder than this one, when a stranger's kindness had lit the darkest corners of her childhood. Her mind drifted to the foster homes and cold nights she had endured before she finally found safety. That night, a man she didn't know had wrapped her in a warmth she had never forgotten, a promise made silently between two strangers in a cold world. And now, here she was, holding onto that memory, determined to repay a kindness she barely understood. But Claire's past was a secret she kept hidden from the world. Few knew the struggles behind her calm exterior. She was more than just the woman standing alone at a bus stop. She was a survivor, a fighter, and soon, someone ready to change the life of the man who had given her so much without expecting anything in return. As Claire sat by the window, watching the snow swirl beneath the dim streetlights, a quiet vow formed in her heart. One day, she would find Henry again. One day, she would repay the gift that had saved her not just from the cold, but from despair itself. But how? Where could she begin? The city was vast, and Henry's face was a blur in her memory, framed only by kindness and a worn coat. Back on the empty streets, Henry walked toward his small truck parked at the end of the lane. The night wind bit harder now, but he felt lighter somehow, a spark of hope that had long been missing from his days. His mind drifted back to his own losses. The wife he had loved, taken too soon by illness. The son who had drifted away, caught up in his own life. The empty rooms that once held laughter now echoed with silence. Yet tonight, as the snowflakes settled softly on his worn coat, Henry felt the faintest glimmer of something new, a connection, fragile but real. The next days passed quietly, but Claire's resolve grew. She began to search in small ways, revisiting the bus stop, asking around quietly, piecing together whatever clues she could find. A fleeting glimpse of Henry's truck on a security camera, a vague description of a man with tired eyes but a kind smile. Each small detail pulled her deeper into a mystery she was determined to solve. But Henry, unaware of the search unfolding around him, continued his routine, each day a struggle, but also a chance to give what little he had. The city's cold heart hid many stories that winter, stories of loss, hope, and unexpected kindness. And in this vast, frozen landscape, two lives were quietly moving toward a reunion neither could yet imagine. The question still lingered in the silent night. Would fate bring them together again? Days turned into weeks as winter deepened its grip on the city. The streets remained cloaked in white, the cold pressing in on every corner like a silent reminder of everything lost and waiting to be found. Henry's life moved with quiet determination. He spent his days at the community center, a place where broken stories found small moments of healing. His hands, rough and calloused from years of work, guided children with patience and kindness. His smile, though worn, still held the warmth of someone who refused to give up. Yet, beneath the surface, a restlessness grew. The memory of the woman at the bus stop lingered in his mind like a half-remembered dream. He wondered who she was, why she had come to that lonely place in the dead of night, and what had driven her to accept his only coat. Meanwhile, Claire's search became an obsession. She retraced every step from that fateful night, following the faint trails left behind. Every small clue was a thread in a tapestry she was desperate to unravel. Her visits to the bus stop grew longer, her questions more urgent. She approached the few people who worked nearby, a kind shopkeeper, a night shift security guard, anyone who might have seen the man with the worn coat. Piece by piece, she began to sketch his life in her mind. A man weathered by time, carrying burdens she could only guess at. A stranger whose quiet kindness had given her more than warmth on a freezing night. One evening, as Henry locked up the community center, a letter slipped under the door caught his eye. It was a simple envelope, sealed but unmarked. Inside was a photograph, a picture of Claire, standing shyly beside the bus stop, wrapped in his coat. On the back, a note. "Thank you for the warmth you gave me. I want to repay your kindness. Please, meet me." Henry's heart tightened. For the first time in years, hope stirred inside him. He looked out into the night, the snow falling softly around him, and wondered if fate was finally ready to bring their stories together. The next day, Claire prepared for their meeting with a mix of anticipation and fear. She wanted to tell Henry everything about her past, the foster homes, the nights spent shivering in the cold, and the promise she had made to herself the moment he gave her that coat. But she also feared rejection, the possibility that the man who had saved her might not be ready to accept her back into his life. As she approached the community center, she saw Henry waiting by the door. His eyes, tired but kind, met hers with a quiet question. No words were needed. In that moment, their shared history, the pain, the hope, the kindness, bridged the gap between them. Yet, beneath the surface of this reunion, a storm was brewing. Henry's pride made him hesitant to accept help. Claire's secrets weighed heavily on her, threatening to pull them apart before their story could truly begin. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges neither could yet foresee. But on that cold winter night, under the gentle glow of streetlights and falling snow, two lives intertwined, bound by a single act of kindness that neither would ever forget. The city was slowly waking from its winter slumber. The heavy snow had softened into patches of melting white, the chill in the air giving way to the gentle promise of spring. Yet, even as the world around them changed, Henry and Claire stood at the crossroads of their own transformation, their lives forever linked by a single night of kindness. Henry's hands, once hardened by years of labor and hardship, now trembled slightly as he held a cup of warm tea. He sat in the small apartment that Claire had helped him find, a modest place, but one filled with hope. For the first time in years, he felt the fragile stirrings of home. But beneath his tentative smile lay the scars of a lifetime of loss. The grief of losing his wife had left an emptiness that no time seemed to fill. His son, Noah, had drifted away like a distant star, unreachable yet always in his thoughts. Every day was a battle between holding on and letting go. Claire sat beside him, her presence a gentle warmth in the quiet room. She knew the weight he carried, because in many ways, she carried it too. Her childhood had been a patchwork of cold nights, lonely foster homes, and stolen moments of hope. The kindness Henry had shown that freezing night had been a lifeline, a light in the darkness that had kept her going when everything else seemed lost. Together, they began to rebuild, not just a home, but a life. They spent their days volunteering at the community center, mentoring children who, like Claire once had, needed someone to believe in them. Henry's tired eyes brightened as he watched the children laugh and play, feeling a purpose rekindled within him. One afternoon, as Henry helped paint the center's walls, Claire shared more of her story. She spoke softly about the nights spent shivering in cold rooms, the foster families who never quite felt like home, and the moment she had vowed to repay the stranger's kindness, the man who had given her his only coat. Henry listened, the lines on his face deepening not from age alone, but from the weight of emotions he struggled to express. For the first time, he allowed himself to hope that past pain could be healed, that broken lives could be mended. Then came Noah's return. The son Henry had feared he had lost forever stood at the doorstep one rainy evening, hesitant but hopeful. Their reunion was awkward, filled with long silences and unspoken words, but it was a start, a chance to reclaim what had been lost. As Noah spent time with Henry and Claire, he began to see the transformation that kindness and love had brought to their lives. He watched as his father's eyes regained a spark, and as Claire's quiet strength inspired them both. The community noticed too. One chilly evening, the center held an event to honor Henry's decades of service. Friends, neighbors, and families gathered under strings of warm lights, their faces glowing with gratitude. Claire stepped forward during the ceremony, holding a framed photograph. It was the drawing from that cold night, the two figures sharing a coat beneath falling snowflakes. The simple image now symbolized so much more: hope, humanity, and the power of compassion. With tears shining in her eyes, Claire handed Henry the frame, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. Inside were the papers for a house, a place Henry could finally call his own. The crowd gasped softly, understanding the depth of this gift. Henry's hands shook as he accepted the deed. In that moment, the years of hardship, loss, and loneliness melted away, replaced by a profound sense of belonging.